In this video, we will talk about how to develop an AI-powered SAP application using Vertex AI. So taking an example of a warehouse worker who is surrounded by dangerous chemicals, they need to know things like what are the dangers of each chemical, how much of each chemical is in stock, what do I do in case of an emergency, and many such questions. Unfortunately, the company's systems cannot answer all these questions. The information is scattered across many different places, like in long safety documents which are in PDF formats provided by the manufacturers, in internal warehouse guidelines, or also within the internal SAP systems. These are some of the business examples where you can leverage the power of Vertex AI to develop applications which enable end user to get all the information at their fingertips and take in-time critical decisions. Let's dive into a quick demo of a RAG application built using Vertex AI SDK for ABAP, and we will see how Gemini, powered by enterprise data, generates accurate and relevant responses to this user queries. Let's look at the demo. What I have here is a sample application, the UI of which is developed using Streamlit. The UI actually can change. You can even have a UI5 based application which is interacting with the backend ABAP system. Right here, the key part is the backend is written completely in ABAP, and Vertex AI SDK is used to orchestrate with the various Vertex AI components and as well as with Gemini. So what you will also see that we have consciously taken the decision of not to make the app look like a chat-based application. The reason for that is we want to put the thought across that you can actually look at Gemini as a rule engine as well and infuse it in your application to take automated decisions. So imagine that you are making an application where you're interacting with an application seamlessly, and behind the scene the application is using well-crafted and well-engineered prompt augmented with your enterprise data to interact with Gemini and get those decision-making parameters from Gemini, using which you can automate your decisions within the application. That's truly an AI-infused application. Now, for the ease of explanation, what we have done here is the various queries that a warehouse employee might have, we have divided that across various business scenarios, right? Now, based on the business scenario, your retrieval workflow or the RAG-enabled workflow, which is responsible to get response from Gemini, may vary based on the type of enterprise document that you would require grounding to be done for the Gemini. Now let me take an example of the business scenario real-time information from safety data sheet. What I as a warehouse employee would want to know is what is a flashpoint of a particular product. And let me select acetone as the product and ask Gemini what is the flashpoint of acetone. Now Gemini is able to give me a response that the flashpoint of acetone is minus 20 degrees Celsius. It is also telling me that this is stated in the provided text under the flashpoint section, and it is also giving me some additional details. Now when you look at the safety data sheet that is provided by the manufacturer, it would follow a certain template. The format of it can change, but the section wise template kind of remains the same. This is an example of a safety data sheet provided by a manufacturer for acetone. And in this safety data sheet, if you go down into section number 9, this is where you will see the flashpoint details of acetone is mentioned. But there is one more thing mentioned here. It says the method is closed cup. Now what exactly this means, I may not be completely aware. But if you look at Gemini, it has gone ahead and given me an explanation that it is important to note that this is a closed cup flashpoint, meaning it was determined using standardized test method where the sample is contained in the closed vessel. Now how cool is that, right? Now it has augmented the data based on my enterprise document and also given me additional explanation to make my job of interpreting it is easier. Now let's look at some more scenarios. Let me look at, and I want Gemini to help me with a pictogram recognition, and this is a multimodal scenario of Gemini. I'm going to load a pictogram which you'll generally find behind products or even behind containers which are transporting hazardous material, and I want to understand what this symbol means, and Gemini is able to respond to me that it means the substance is corrosive. Similarly, let me look at one more scenario. Let's talk about inventory integration. I want to know how much of acetone do we have in stock. Now Gemini would certainly not have the stock related or inventory related details, right? And this is where the function calling feature of Gemini comes in, right? Here Gemini is equipped to get this detail from SAP. And how is that done is basically we are giving the appropriate system settings to Gemini, telling it that when you are being queried for inventory details, I want you to indicate that I need to call a particular function to get this particular inventory detail from XYZ system. Now, as part of a SDK, what we have done is we have given some additional functionalities where in SAP world you can use a function module as a function and configure it against the Gemini call. And the Gemini call will auto invoke that function module, and you can write your code inside the function module to get this appropriate details from either SAP system or some other means in order for you to augment it for Gemini to construct the appropriate response, right? And you can read more about the function calling in this particular guide here, where appropriate explanation is being kept on how do you end up configuring the function and how you can even give the response, augment the response from Gemini. And in fact, it also gives you a feature to change the prompt according to the data that you would be ending up retrieving within the function module. Alright, so with that, let's look at what's under the hood. This diagram illustrates the complete architecture of the application we just demoed. It showcases how to architect the data ingestion and the serving subsystems. The data ingestion subsystem handles the following steps: extracting relevant enterprise data, creating knowledge chunks from extracted data, generating embeddings which are AI-friendly data representations, building searchable indexes using vector search technology. And the serving subsystem, on the other hand, is responsible for generating embeddings of the input query, retrieving the most relevant context from the vector search index, and effectively prompting Gemini to generate a response grounded in the retrieved context. Now we strive to make it easy for you to explore and build this architecture and learn the skills to bring Gemini to your SAP landscape. So we have published a comprehensive handbook which provides a step-by-step guide to building this AI application from scratch using ABAP. Please scan this QR code, which will point you to a GitHub repository with sample code and PDF handbook available for you to download. And if you are looking for more additional inspiration, please check out our expanding library of reference architectures showcasing real-world enterprise solutions using ABAP SDK and Vertex AI SDK. Our comprehensive documentation and articles and YouTube tutorials provide all the resources you need to get started with ABAP SDK and Vertex AI SDK. Scan these QR codes to explore deeper into our documentation and discover specific use cases. So with that, thank you for your time, and do reach out to us with your questions and we would be happy to answer.